Greetings nerdy list aficionados, it's time once more for some facts, and this one I'm excited about because it's a bit of a branch off. Now I love the big two, Marvel and DC, but I also love other imprints and comics as well. I just want to talk about all of them. It's why I'm so thrilled with our alternate Superman and Batman story series, which allows us to introduce pastiches, homages, and the like. In our Superman vid, we got to chat a little bit about the Homelander, and as fortune would have it at time of this recording, Amazon Prime's adaptation of Garth Ennis's The Boys is set to be released, so we can talk about this dark soup some more. I'm Sasha, and these are the top 10 The Boys Homelander scary facts you need to know. Grammar, what's that? And heads up, spoilers. So if you want to go into the series blind, this is not the vid for you. If you're curious, stick around. Number 10. He was created by Nazis. The Homelander is the beacon of hope of the Boys universe, the #1 superhero. There's just one problem. Everything about him is a lie, down to his origin. While the public believes he was a crashed alien, in reality he was the result of a corporate experiment by Vought Industries, who was using Compound V, an experimental serum created by Nazi scientists to attempt to create super soldiers. To achieve this, they injected pregnant women with an excessive amount of the serum to see what the results they could produce were, one of which was the Homelander, though his mother died in the process. The Homelander as a hero has super strength, laser vision, enhanced senses, and vocal cords, all the things you would expect. Number 9. He has no training. Throughout The Boys, we are able to witness different time periods and the characters at these points, which reveals the sad reality that the Homelander and indeed all of the supers are a construction largely created as a bid for corporate control. Corptocracy time. There are lots of conspiracies in this comic, but because of all of this, the heroes are really more for show, and the situations they are sent into are more PR stunts, even though they are actual situations. But the thing is, they're not trained for it at all. If they do well, perfect, but if they mess up horribly, that's fine too. You get to witness some horrible botched rescue attempts and missions in this series, and just witness how ineffectual of a leader the Homelander is. During one rescue attempt with 9/11 ties, he yells so loudly at the passengers on a plane to shut up that he bursts their eardrums. Number 8. He has no identity. A key part of so many superhero stories is that duality of identity, that balance between hero or public persona and the private one. It's the foundation that many stories are predicated upon. Even Superman has his fair share of identity drama. However, the Homelander has no identity, not even really a name. Though he has been called John, but no one is sure if that's really it. With no counterbalance, it works narratively to showcase how distant from the rest of the world the Homelander really is. He has no ties, no friends, no lovers, not proper ones anyway. He is simply the Homelander, and all that entails. There is no one to be held accountable because the myth of the Homelander reigns supreme, leaving him in a way identityless, and that's a scary concept. Number 7. He's a deconstruction of Superman. Now if you're coming from our other video, you know this point. The Homelander is a clear examination, subversion, and deconstruction of Superman, but it goes beyond sharing the same powers and a similar-ish backstory. Instead, this story fully takes on the concept of what happens if you change Superman's environment, just as many Elseworld Superman stories have done, most notably Superman Red Son. The Homelander is raised by corporations and told he must be a hero, isolated and kept separate from the very humans he is meant to protect. He was raised in a lab and experimented upon, which in a way makes some of the small moments of genuineness he has a bit of a surprise. It showcases how that human element to Superman is what makes him a hero or villain. As deprived from it and manipulated by all around him, he falls, and falls hard. It's also good that this is another imprint, because Clark putting his hand through the Joker's chest in Injustice after he was tricked into killing Lois and their unborn baby is one thing, but all the things you see the Homelander do, people wouldn't recover from seeing Superman do those things. Number 6. Everyone loves him. One of the things The Boys plays with is how easily taken in the public can be by the PR machine, which means that no matter what the Homelander does, no one ever hears about it, so the people love him, and even the people who do see it happen get paid off. What also helps with this are comics, which depict official versions of events in this universe which people latch onto. Belief in the myth of Homelander can inspire, and he's inspired people to become heroes only to have their illusions shattered. This is when they enter the actual world of superheroes and see what it's really like, an occurrence that can be paralleled by many real-world industries. Just the concept that someone so vile could be so loved, upsetting. And yet we know what happens. Number 5. He's a rapist. This may seem kinda low for some people, but for those who've read it, you'll know why it's halfway. As there are no consequences for any of his actions, the Homelander abuses his authority on every level, and that includes sexually. For example, when initiating new recruits, he makes their final test a blowjob. So you may be wondering, why are there no consequences? Well, the reason is the companies and governments want the supes to be distracted, so that they don't realize the powers that they have, and what they could do if they went off on their own. So to keep them distracted, they have them invested in their own squabbles and hedonisms. It's a valid tactic, and while it works for a while, but just for a while. Number 4, he's insane. Side note, since I started watching Legion, I can't say that without saying it like Melanie Bird in season 2. He's insane. But seriously, the Homelander is having a breakdown. All of the things he's done, coupled with blackmail images featuring stuff he doesn't remember doing, all of this causes his mental state to deteriorate further and further until he inevitably snaps. What's scary about this is that so many people witnessed it happening, but through a combination of not caring, or not being able to do anything because of how powerful the Homelander is, he's kind of on an inevitable course for supervillainy. No holds barred villainy. Heads off, babies eaten, so many things. Number 3, he led an uprising. So the Homelander is the leader of the Seven, the Boys' Universe's version of the Justice League, and so when he goes rogue and decides that they need to start doing things for themselves, forget their corporate handlers and the government, which they weren't really worried about in the first place, he has a whole group of supers at his disposal, and their lower level teams. Because of course, he is still an example, a dark example, but still something people follow. And this uprising goes hard, like decapitating the president, climactic battle in the Oval Office hard. Number 2, the Seven. So the Seven is made up of the world's 7 greatest superheroes, but in reality their name heralds something far more sinister. The Seven refers to the 7 women used as broodmares in their super soldier serum experiment. The 7 were women who wouldn't be missed, quote unquote, and because of their creation process, the 7 are more powerful than any of the other heroes, which also increases the amount of damage they do, accidentally. As mentioned, despite their heroic veneers, they aren't very good in crisis situations. The 7 actually had an agreement with the boys pre-series to leave each other alone, but well, obviously that didn't work out. The 7 are marketed by the Vought Corporation and care far more about their marketing rights and cuts that they make off of merchandise than anything else, with the Homelander getting the most. Number 1, he could have been a real hero. So this is probably more sad than scary. It's the fact that the Homelander could have been the hero he wanted to be. Without all of the influences and the blackmail and the glitz and the glamour, with some real support, he could have been a Superman. Near the series' conclusion, he realizes that ultimately the decision to not be that, while partially, okay, a large part of it was his own doing, but without interference, he might have been the person everyone thinks or thought he was. That's really upsetting. I mean, no sympathy for the Homelander at all, but it's nuanced. While the goal of this series was to out-preacher Preacher, which it definitely did, there are also a lot of layers to the character motivations. In short, I'm saying it's still worth reading, and I spoiled as little as I could. And I'm so excited for this series. So are you down for less mainstream fare? If you want it, hit that like button, and we'll give it to you. I'm Sasha, thanks so much for watching Top 10 Nerd. We here will see you again soon. Comment, subscribe, thanks for watching. Bye bye.